morning. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. If you're in the chat, let me know how you're doing. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. We have 3 games. Nathan, happy Thanksgiving. We have 3 games today. We did a full preview yesterday on the stream of all the games. We're going to talk some last minute stuff, couple little injury news and notes to dissect as well. And then any questions you guys have, we'll answer those. Melissa, happy Thanksgiving. Jim, happy Thanksgiving as well. All right, so injury news. We'll start at the top here while some of you guys funnel in. Also, I have SportWise pulled up on my screen. If you guys haven't seen me using this on stream before, it's a pretty cool tool. It's free. You can sync up your fantasy leagues in it. It's basically like a spreadsheet on steroids. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. I am encouraging you all to go check it out, play around with it. Nathan, you have a fantasy question. Bucky Irving. Okay, so wait, Nathan, I have to ask, which is hilarious. I'm assuming this is Tyreek Hill and not Taysom Hill, right? Like I have to ask that question at this point, just given if you would have told someone at the beginning of the season that I needed specification on whether that was Tyreek or Taysom Hill, they would not have believed you. But can I get some? I'm assuming that's Tyreek Hill in that question. Okay, Bucky, Tyreek, or Tracy? Interesting. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Bucky. It's just hard to, but I think the role for Bucky's going to continue to grow. And Tyreek just has not been. He hasn't been what he's been in years past. I don't know if it's injury or what. Tracy obviously just good matchup, but I would trust Bucky over him for a season-long team. Chris, thank you for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. For injury stuff, both St. Brown and Montgomery are active. I saw just now. Wasn't expecting either of them to miss. Whether or not they're limited, I don't know. I would say no. Thank you. Tuning in from a plane flying to Vegas. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. That's pretty cool. Hopefully you're not next to any like crying children or that things can get a little out of hand traveling on the holidays. So hopefully everything's all good over there. Whether or not St. Brown or Montgomery limited, I don't know. I don't think they will be. St. Brown's someone that played with a partially torn oblique all last season or whatever it was, didn't really miss any games. I'm not expecting it to play a huge factor here. I think he's good to go. Montgomery, I don't know. He didn't come. I don't think he came back into that game last week after he left. They've said all along that he was going to be fine, so it didn't seem like they were ever concerned he'd miss the game. But I guess on a short week, you might have some concerns there. But I'm not playing it like there's going to be any sort of limitations on those guys. The other big situation is what to do with the Giants. So we got that Jordan Ronon's like their best reporter. He reported yesterday that it was a long shot for DeVito to play today, and it was going to be Drew Lock at quarterback. Now, since then, that was like yesterday afternoon. Last night, there was reports coming out. I think Rap Sheet had one, some other people that DeVito's going to throw before the game, and it's a game time decision with him. So I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. I still think it's going to be Drew Lock, but I guess that there's a situation where, Tommy DeVito throws before the game and they send him out there. I don't know. So this is a big factor. Late swap on the DFS slate for today. Late swap obviously is huge. Something you can use to your advantage because other people are with their families. They're not really going to be paying attention to swapping, but that particular situation is really important. If Drew Lock, like if it came out that DeVito's starting that game instead of Drew Lock, I mean, that would change things definitely. I don't think it's a massive, I don't think DeVito to Drew Lock is a massive gap, but it is a big enough gap to where I think it affects the outlook of the Giants. I mean, at least Drew Lock is a fringe NFL quarterback. We've seen him have success in some instances before. DeVito's just been really bad after those first few starts he made last year. So that's a big kind of news piece that I don't know if we'll have at lock. I mean, the Lions game starts at 12:30. He's going to throw before the game. I don't think we'll have this information, when that first game starts. So that'll be big, something I'm watching for. Favorite side for Thanksgiving? I would probably say the Lions are my favorite side. I don't like to lay big spreads in the NFL. And I'm fully aware of the Lions, lack of success, even under Dan Campbell on Thanksgiving. But this is just a really bad spot for the Bears, I think. Coming off an overtime game in which they ran, their second highest play count of the entire season. Now they have to go on the road. They have to play a really just physical Lions team that wants to run the ball. The Bears' weakness is run defense. The Lions want to run the ball. Locked in. I don't know. Did I do something? I don't know what I did. But yeah, I would say Lions. I don't like to lay big spreads, but I'm comfortable laying it. I think they win by 2 touchdowns today. I don't know. I don't have much confidence in the Bears, to be honest. And they could oh I don't know, sorry. I've been up I've been grinding, so I don't know. All right. That does it for injuries, though. Lock / DeVito and the line stuff. Really, that was the big kind of news pieces. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead, drop them in. Always locked in. That is a fact, Chris. Look, when this is all said and done, whenever that is, no one can ever say that I was not locked in, because I definitely was. How I'm playing the slate, DFS wise, I think I'm playing three DraftKings teams, a cash, and 2 tournaments. FanDuel, I'm going to play 2 teams, cash, and 1 tournament. I talked about it in my article and my breakdown. I think both Lions running backs is definitely interesting for tournaments. Don't think, you need to force it. Don't think you need to do it if you're only playing a couple teams, but I do think that's an interesting angle that you can look at, especially if you're, you can play them with one. You don't even need to play. I think a lot of people, if they do play both Lions running backs, which won't be, I don't think it's going to be a super popular move or anything, because this is one of the slates a lot of casual people will play as opposed to a normal main slate. But anyone that does play both Lions running backs together, I think will use Caleb Williams on the other side, especially because he's looking like the highest owned, quarterback on the slate anyways. So I don't think you need to do that. I think you can play both of them with Lions defense and then maybe use one Bears pass catcher for and hope they get some volume. And then you can fit in a stack around it and just look for late swap later. See how the game starts. One prop. I like Rome Odunze. If his line is still 3.5 receptions, I like that. He's got 10 targets in back-to-back weeks with Thomas Brown calling the plays. And Carlton Davis is out for the Lions on the back end there, which I think helps Odunze. Matt, obviously, if you guys know, he's been on my streams before. He's a big Lions fan. He was saying that Carlton Davis being out helps Odunze as well. So over 3.5 catches for Odunze looked pretty good to me. I like Dontavian Wicks receiving yards. I know that people are just done with him. He's struggled. He was a really popular season-long pick coming into the year. He struggled when he got action earlier this year when Christian Watson was out. Romeo Doubs missed a game or 2 earlier as well. He just wasn't doing anything. Had some drop issues, but the role was there, right? Like Dobbs exited that game last week and he stepped in. He played almost 80% of the snaps after Dobbs went out of that game. We know he has, since the start of last season when Dobbs has been out, Wicks has around a 26% target share with him off the field. So he's proven to be a touchdown scorer as well. I mean, he scored 4 touchdowns in his last 4 games last year, one of which was in the wild card round of the playoffs. So I still have some faith in Dontavian Wicks. His receiving line's pretty low. It was like in the 30s, I'm pretty sure, or 40s. I can't remember. I took the over on it, but I think you can look at him. Odunze catches as well. Those are probably my 2 favorites. I would say Neighbors receiving yards, but that line got moved up. He was floating around 60. And then when the DeVito news came out, he got steamed up. I think he's around 67, 68 now. So I don't know if I'd force that. Touchdown picks. Yeah, I did a video last night. That's on the Rolling Insights channel, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you guys use. So you can go watch it, but I can just tell you here. So in the first game, I like Jameson Williams a ton. I think this is just such a Jameson Williams spot. The Bears have been really good against slot receivers. They've struggled against outside receivers, and that holds up even to last season. They did really well against Amon-Ra St. Brown last year. They did as well as any team in the league did defending St. Brown last year. So I think it's a good spot for the outside receivers here. They've given up some big plays in recent weeks as well. If you look at last week against the Vikings, Jordan Addison scored a long touchdown against them. TJ Hawkinson had a couple long catches. Like, I think that they're in a spot where they can give up long plays, which we know is Jameson Williams' game. He also has been great at home. I don't look at home road splits a ton, but when you're talking about someone that's as fast as Jameson Williams is, I do think it makes a difference being on turf versus like last week. No, last week they were in a dome. They've only played like one outside game, so I guess that's not super applicable, but I think it makes a difference being at home on the turf. He's averaging around 100 receiving yards per game in his 4 home games this year. He scored 3 of his 4 touchdowns at home this year, so good spot for him. I like him a lot today. If Drew Lock is at quarterback, I like Tyrone Tracy for a touchdown. Dallas has been really bad against the run, especially the middle of their defensive line is where you can exploit them running the ball, and that's where the Giants run the ball. With kind of Micah Parsons back, like they're still good on the edge. Dallas does a lot of, or New York does a lot of running between the tackles, and Tyrone Tracy's had some big games, right? I mean, he's had 100 yards a couple times. He's had fumble issues, but I do like him if Drew Lock is in and they can move the football. If Drew Lock's not in, I don't think I would. I'm not interested in the Giants at all if DeVito's at quarterback. And then in the night game, I like Jayden Reed and Wicks both for touchdowns tonight. Cold tonight, yeah, it's supposed to be in the 20s or feel like it's in the 20s in that game. I'm not fully bought into the narrative that Tua can't play in the cold. I mean, his props are still normal. You know, the team total is still 22.5. So I'm not super bought into it. I do think the Packers are the better team and they'll probably win that game. Packers have been really good at home this year, especially defensively. But I don't know. I don't really buy that narrative. I think it's more of just the Packers are a good team. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Tua comes out and balls out. I mean, that's in the range of outcomes. Any long shots? Yeah, if you guys want a super long shot, actually, I'll give you 2. One is Tim Patrick from the Lions. So no Khalif Raymond today. I think that does. So if you guys look back, people will say Khalif Raymond, like that doesn't matter. Look at the Lions. Let's look at the Lions game last year on Thanksgiving, right? So the Lions were like 8-point favorites in this game. They lost the game outright. I'm not saying they're going to lose today, but just like going into that game, it was very much the Lions are going to destroy the Packers. They're 8-point favorites. They're rolling. They were 8-2 coming into that game. So that narrative got flipped on its head. The Packers jumped all over them. But look at the Lions receiving, right? St. Brown had 9 for 95 on 11 targets. Jameson Williams had 2 for 51 on 3 targets. Now, this was before kind of the ascension of Jameson Williams, but I mean, he was playing in the game. Sam Laporta had 5 for 47 and a touchdown. Khalif Raymond had 5 catches for 90 yards in that Thanksgiving Day game last year. So, like, while we might sit here and say that Khalif Raymond not playing doesn't matter, from a real life football perspective, this is someone that's played well on a Thanksgiving Day game before, and the team knows that. So I think Tim Patrick could step up in that absence. Tim Patrick also can get downfield, which I just talked about, outside receivers getting downfields, how we can attack this Bears defense in the passing game. So Tim Patrick for a long shot, I definitely think is interesting. He's had a pretty good role too. I mean, if we look at his game log, I don't think he's found the end zone yet, but I mean, 4 for 55, 3 for 26, 3 for 68. Like, he's had some games this year. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him have some success today. And then a super long shot on the Cowboys, Brevin Spann-Ford, their second tight end. He is definitely not as involved in the passing game as Luke Schoonmaker, but he only ran like 4 less routes last week. His snap percentage isn't that much lower. He is like an athletic guy. Let me pull up his player profiler and just see. For some reason, I think he's athletic, but maybe I could just be wrong on that. Let's take a look. But he's like crazy odds to score a touchdown, Spann-Ford. And we've seen in these like primetime games, like these backup tight ends, like this, that has been a thing. Let's take a look here. Brevin Spann-Ford. What do you got, buddy? Yeah, I guess it's not crazy. I mean, he's got 77th percentile speed score. 50th percentile 40-yard dash. So I don't know. Tim Patrick, Brevin Spann-Ford, those are my 2 long shots though today. If you guys have questions though, go ahead, drop them in. Like I said, I'm playing 3 teams on DraftKings, 2 on FanDuel. I'm gonna play. I think if you're attempting to play cash games on this slate, I think you just play Caleb Williams because of, I mean, he's definitely the top graded point per dollar option, given what he's been doing running as well. Like, that just adds to his floor. A lot of times people will, think of running the football, how it helps your ceiling, like potentially running a touchdown in, but it helps the floor. Like, getting 2 or 3 points from running the football helps out a lot. So if you're trying to play cash games, I'd probably just play him. For tournaments, I like Cooper Rush stuff today, man. I took the over in that game, the over 37. I think this could be a bad team shootout, especially if we get Drew Lock. Now, if we don't get Drew Lock at quarterback, my opinion on that changes. But these are 2 bad defenses. Dallas has been scoring points with Cooper Rush, and they've done that in the past as well when he's come in. For Dak, they've actually, weirdly enough, in neutral game scripts, been more pass heavy with Cooper Rush the last few weeks than they were doing with Dak Prescott. So they clearly have confidence in him throwing the football. The Giants secondary, you can certainly attack. So I think this could be a bad team shootout. I took the over 37. I like Cooper Rush. He's really cheap on DraftKings. He's below 5K. You can stack him or double stack him. You get a little reinforcements as well. Brandon Cooks is back. Don't know if I'd play Brandon Cooks in DFS just because I don't know how much he's going to play, but yeah, I think Cooper Rush is interesting. I think Drew Lock's interesting on the other side of that game as well. If he starts, and I think they'll both be, well behind Caleb in terms of ownership. Keenan Allen or Odunze? Yeah, I mean, if you're attempting to play cash games, you're playing Keenan Allen. Tournaments, I think Matt was debating those two as well. I kind of like the pivot to Odunze in tournaments, honestly, because it's a pretty wide projection gap. Keenan Allen's coming in around 13 to 14 projected fantasy points today on DraftKings, at least. Odunze is around 11. So anyone using any projection system, optimizer, anything like that, there is no system that's going to give them Rome Odunze, over Keenan Allen unless they make a manual edit. So just building your team and then dropping from Keenan to Odunze, especially if you have a chalky team outside of that, I think that's a good move. And that's the type of stuff that can separate you on a small slate like this, right? Like, I don't hate that at all. We have a lot of people in here. If you guys could be so kind at some point today to go over to YouTube, Rolling Insights on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We're starting from the ground up there, and we're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. And I stream there every single day. Weekdays at 11 a.m., I have live streams talking over the games for the day. So I would appreciate any YouTube subscribers over there. Anyone in the chat, give me your favorite touchdown scores today. Other than Jameson Williams, because we already know that he's scoring. So we can just push him to the side. We already know that Jameson Williams is getting in the end zone. So who in the chat do you guys like other than Jameson Williams? Neighbors or Tracy, final flex spot PPR. I'm going Neighbors for sure. I'm not benching Neighbors. I have Neighbors on all my season-long teams. Anyone that has followed me knows that. I'm not benching him now. Good spot. Hopefully getting a quarterback upgrade with Drew Lock. Squeaky wheel narrative. Oh, also, I want to bring this up. We've seen this a couple times. A couple people said Gibbs for touchdowns. Yeah, I like that. Gibbs for 2. Yeah. It's so hard not to just pick Gibbs. Jalen Waddle, Mitchell. That's a good little sneaky pick. He's not going to be owned at all in DFS. Think he's he actually had a good game last week. Think that's an interesting angle. That's someone I'll look maybe. I don't have any of him right now in my teams, but if I'm a little bit behind going into that last game, or if I'm in a good spot and I think people ahead of me have Packers, I might look to get onto Waddle this afternoon. Good little mention from you there. Oh, yeah, I wanted to bring this up on FanDuel Sportsbook. So we've done this a couple times this year, and it's worked out. This is something I've noticed. FanDuel is notorious for having the best touchdown score odds. They purposely offer the best odds on guys to score touchdowns, right? So anytime, you're say I want to bet Keenan Allen to score a touchdown today, right? If you go to DraftKings, he's this price. If you go to MGM, he's this price. If you go to FanDuel, typically it's 10, 20, 30 cents higher. They do this on purpose because they want people's action on touchdown scores, so they offer the best lines. Now, I take a note when I see guys that have lower touchdown odds on FanDuel than anywhere else, because that tells me, first of all, typically I've already liked this person to score a touchdown, so that kind of reassures me. But B, it's just noteworthy to me because they never have worse touchdown odds. So if someone has worse touchdown odds on FanDuel than anywhere else, that's kind of like a giveaway to me. We've done this a couple times this season. One time, notably with Taysom Hill, he was like plus 190 everywhere and then plus 140 on FanDuel. That was the game, I think, that he scored all those touchdowns. So I noticed it today with Malik Neighbors. And I want to see if this still holds up here, just to make sure I'm not just talking nonsense. But it was like this last night when I looked. So let's take a look here. Neighbors on DraftKings is plus 230. Neighbors on FanDuel plus 220. Okay, so it's a little bit closed, but he still does have 5 or 10 cents lower on FanDuel than on DraftKings, at least. I haven't looked at the other books, but I feel good about Neighbors getting in the end zone today. I do, especially after what happened last week. Tully, do you like fading the Bears in tournaments? Yeah, I don't. I honestly do, to be honest. Like the Caleb stuff's gonna be so chalk, and I already don't like the spot for them. If there's any chance, like if we think of this from a higher level, right? Bad coach, rookie quarterback, short week, off an overtime game against a physical team that's going to run the ball down your throat. This could end poorly, right? If there's any chance, and the Lions have done this all year, like they've completely steamrolled teams in spots. So if there's any chance that the Bears just get completely dominated, I don't think you need like multiple pieces. Like you don't need to full fade the team. But like I said, if you want to play 2 or 3 Lions guys with just one Bears player, and it ends up being the one guy that, gets high volume with catches or falls in the end zone, I think that's fine. I am going to be lower on the Bears probably than everyone else. I'm going to play Caleb in cash, so that'll kind of cover me. But tournament-wise, I'm not planning on playing really any super heavy Bear stacks. I might make one in large field just like in case, but no, for my main teams, I'm not planning to have much Bears exposure. I'd rather use Detroit defense, to be honest. Lamb, Neighbors, and Williams at receiver sounds good to me. I don't know. Like on a 3-game slate, I just feel safe getting Lamb and Neighbors, because even if Neighbors, like the team has been so bad this year, but Neighbors has never really suffered fantasy-wise because of the sheer amount of volume he gets. Even last week, he didn't catch a pass in the first half and finished with like 12 DraftKings points, Like he just gets so much volume that it's hard for him to truly fail. Whereas someone like, even on the Dolphins, like Tyreek has not been super good from a fantasy perspective when he hasn't scored a touchdown this year. But Neighbors is getting so much volume, I'm pretty fine playing him. I just feel safe having Lamb and Neighbors at receiver, though. And then JMO's not going to be super high owned on DraftKings at least, but I'm completely fine just taking a stand. Like that's the guy that I feel most confident about today. And I love that he's not going to be high owned. I love that I'm confident in him and he has big play upside, right? So even if he playing Jameson Williams, even at 6,100 on this slate, he doesn't need to catch 7 passes, right? He just could get 3. He could have 3 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, and he's going to be in the winning lineup. So I really like him. If you guys have any last minute questions, drop them in. I'm going to hop off pretty soon, though, go finalize my teams and get ready to eat some food, I guess. If you guys have any other questions, you can tag me on Twitter, and I will do my best to answer them. And like I said, if you're in here, please go subscribe to the Rolling Insights YouTube channel. It would really help me out. And I won't get fired if you go subscribe to the YouTube channel. So if you guys want me to keep my job, I would appreciate you clicking that button. Eat a W, forget the food. Mitchell, I'm planning on eating some W's today. We're gonna win some bets today. We're gonna win some DFS today. It's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be a great day. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Appreciate you. I'll be live again tomorrow at 11 a.m. There's a football game tomorrow, so we'll be breaking that down. If you guys are off work and want to hop in, 11 a.m., I'll be live on Twitter and on the Rolling Insights YouTube as well. So happy Thanksgiving to you all. I appreciate each and every one of you that have tuned into my content over the years. I'm super thankful for you all. Have a great day. Spend some time with some family, and let's make some money.